before the West Texas bombing happened, the Boston bombing happened, and I remember I was concerned about drugs moving to Boston because I heard about it. I heard that we were moving drugs to Boston. What that means is nothing. So like you can tell me something that's absolutely nothing, that's like only helpful at the time. As long as I keep my mouth shut for like a month, it's better, and not tell me anything at all. So I think the drugs are moving to Boston. This girl messages me and tells me that she's moving to Boston. I was like, don't talk about Boston. And that's what I thought when she said it. And this girl, her grandfather told me that he was busted in Santa Barbara, California, while he was with his grandkids. Like he was like with all his grandkids, and then the police rolled on him, and he told me that we need to legalize drugs. That's what he told me. And do I think we need to legalize drugs? Yeah, but I don't think that all forms of drugs need to be available. And I definitely think we need some sort of regulation. Anyways, so she told me that she was going to Boston. Next thing you know, Boston bombings happen. And I, kind of like with Brenna, where I'm like, is it my fault? Did they kill her because of me? I'm sitting there going, did someone know about Boston? Because this girl messaged me. Because I knew about Boston without any paper trail. Like, I can get told things like, I don't want to talk about it. All right, so Boston bombings happen. Next thing you know, West Texas happens. And when West Texas happened, I was like, oh God, we're under attack. Because I thought the Boston bombings, like someone was targeting us. And who knows what happened there? I don't know. So I decide I'm going to go to West Texas. At that point, I took a car. And I don't know why I was limited in my car situation, but I drove a car from our house. I run into my buddy from college, who is my best friend, and we have a conversation. We were at Common Grounds, the coffee shop, and it's a coffee shop from TV. You might have seen it on TV because they did a makeover of it or something. Anyways, so I was at Common Grounds. I run into this guy. He tells me that that the fertilizer plant isn't a fertilizer plant. It was a bomb, basically. He didn't say bomb. He said it was not a fertilizer plant. And we have this conversation. It's kind of awkward because like I haven't really liked this guy ever since he hooked up with my ex-girlfriend. Because I had a long-time girlfriend, and this guy's my roommate. And like bro code says you don't hook up with your buddy's ex-girlfriend. Like that's just how. That's like not what you do, especially if you're like that good of friends. And he hooked up with her, and I don't want to talk about the. I assumed the best about him. I was like, oh, did you hook up with her to ruin our relationship? You were trying to ruin it because my other roommate was trying to ruin our relationship. Like he showed me this movie Saving Silverman. He was like, you're Silverman. Like you got to. He was like trying to get me out of that relationship. The other roommate, he was trying to hook up with my ex-girlfriend, and he was always trying to hook up with my ex-girlfriend. Like you could see it. Like like when you have a guy friend that's around and he's like. He wants to hook up with your girlfriend. It's like, yeah, I can see that. But then this guy's like your best friend. I hung out with him spring break freshman year. Like I've been to his house. Like I know his parents and stuff. Like he was like part of my best friend group. So we had to talk about that. And then I went to West. And I think probably the reason I got kicked out of West Texas is because I criticized the church Antioch because I called it a cult. And maybe I didn't know I was near an Antioch person. Because in Antioch, they always want to help because they're such good Christians. They do. Like, the thing about Antioch is, like, was it my favorite church in Waco? Probably. Like, I didn't want to go to Antioch because they asked me too many times to go to church. Because they were always trying to get me to go to church. But then once I started going to Antioch, I was like, this is the best church. And the other best church was had a female pastor. But the funnest church was David Crowder's church because the David Crowder band was that good live. And they always had good music and they had a cool atmosphere, but then Kyle wasn't good at preaching. So the preacher from Antioch is that good. But the problem with Antioch is that... So anyways, I got kicked out of West Texas. By a guy that was undercover. He was a truck driver. And he told me I need to leave. And it might have been because I was so angry about finding out that my sister had been raped in the ass. like someone drugged her and raped her in the ass. It's one of those things you wake up the next day and you're like, I can't believe my ass hurts so bad. Um, and I suspected it was probably an undercover cop's kid, because that's the sort of thing that's been a problem. Um, yeah, so yeah, I'm not crazy about West Texas, that's for sure. That's why the government covered it up. It took them so long to release information that it was actually an attack. I've never heard the word terrorist attack. Um, I think it was a terrorist attack. Kind of like when my pastor got electrocuted in front of the church. You only killed one person. It's not a terrorist attack. He wasn't an enemy non-combatant. It sure was about terrorizing the parents, right? Because it was parents' weekend or homecoming or something, and they murdered this guy in front of the entire church. That was definitely terrorism.